Alright, I'm going to show you about testing. So I have a folder open here in Visual Studio Code with two files. My lock file, so it's the class that I wrote for lock, and my scan class. So I'm going to add another file, and that file is going to be test.py. Alright, and that is where we're going to put our tests. I need to import the testing files. So just real quickly, I'm going to look at those to see that I get the import right. So I want to import unit test. Okay. So I am going to do that. I'm going to import unit test. Needs two T's. And I'm going to also, while I'm here, I'll import I'm going to do from lock import, can't type, lock, and from scan import scan. So I have all my imports done. Okay, now before you can actually run tests, you need to enable them. So I'm going to go down to manage, and I'm going to go to settings. In the settings, I'm going to search for Python testing. Notice that I already have it enabled. Python testing, auto discover test on save enabled. So I've put the enable there. So that has to be enabled before you can go. Okay. Seems to me like I also need to go to command palette, configure tests, and we do unit test, and then it will look for the root directory. So we'll do root directory, and we're going to do test.py. Okay, it doesn't find any tests, but we're set up to go. Okay, so we need to do a class, and the class will be, we'll say test lock, or lock test, and we're going to import or inherit from, and I'm looking at this again, unit test case. So unit test dot test case. Okay. And I'm going to do a setup. I'm going to do def setup, and I'm going to put self in there. Alright, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a lock. Self dot lock equals lock, and we're going to give it a door. So I'm going to give it a door of 3176. I'm going to give it a location of we'll just say BE, Broadway, Edison, and the security level will be normal. So that needs to be in quotes too. Okay. So that is our setup method. And then we'll do our first test method. So I'm going to do def test, and then I'm going to do an underscore, and we'll say test lock. I think we'll test the string, because I believe, I'm going to look at lock real quickly. We have a string method that returns the door and the status. So I'm going to do a self here, and I'm going to say that we are going to return assert, and we're going to assert equal. So let me see. Memory is not good. No, it's self assert equal, not return. Self assert equal, and we're going to say that the self dot lock, and I need to do a thing before that. I'm going to do str, so that casts it to string. We're going to say that this is equal to 3176 normal. Alright. And then I will press enter, and that should be good. What is it not like about that? Oh, status is locked. That's the so let's return to here, because the status by default is locked. Okay, that looks good to me. I don't see an error. I'm going to correct that, save it. Seems like there's something it doesn't like there. Expects another parentheses. Oh, there we go. And now I will save this. And notice it put the run test, so it located the test. Let's try to run the test. Down here at the bottom you'll see run tests, and I will run the test. I'm going to say run all the tests. And it gave me a 1. I can also, I think, if I see I want to see the test output. Let's do get a terminal in here. Debug console output. Let's see, I think I can look here for test output. Let's try running the tests again. Run all tests. There is no data out provider registered that can provide the view data. So I'm missing something still. So let's look. at the command palette again, and we'll do configure tests, unit tests, root directory, test.py. It sees the tests. Why is it not running it properly? Because it does run in my other. So we got auto discover. We shouldn't need to do 3000. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else. Alright, so it's fine. It should be fine. Test.py. One error. So it has an error. What is the error? It has no attribute lock. Self lock. Self lock equals lock. It should see that. Def setup. Actually, I'm going to change one thing here. And then I'm going to save. And then I'm going to try to run it again. Now it worked. Setup has to have a capital U. I had forgotten that. So it's good now. And if I look at the output, problems, terminal, okay. Let's look down below here. It ran one test, failed. That was the first time. I know there's a way to see the tests. Alright. So this is the first test and it passed. You can tell because it has a green check mark with a 1 down here. So we're going to do another test. I'm just going to write a couple more tests. So I'm going to do def test we'll tell get status, and we'll do self. Okay. And we will do basically self assert equal, and we'll do self dot status or self dot lock dot get status comma, and we will say locked. Okay. So let's try running tests again. So I have to save this. Okay, and now we'll run the tests again. And we'll run all the tests. And we have 2 that passed. Let's see if there's a thing over here for it seems I don't remember there was a way to see the test output. But anyway, we got two that passed. I'm going to do one more. Just a couple more. So I'm going to do def test set status. And I'm going to do self. And I'm going to do self lock dot set status, and I'm going to do unlocked. Okay, so I've changed that, and then I'm going to say assert self assert equal and what we will assert is that the self.lock dot set status and unlocked. Okay, so we'll save and then we'll run it again. And one of them failed. What failed? One error. Let's see if it'll tell us what the error is. Let's do view okay, that gives me the test things a little bit. So the last one failed. Why did it fail? So we got test set status self lock set status unlocked, self assert. Oh, you know why? Let's just get rid of this line. Because you can't have the method. Oops. Because the method can't be called without passing an argument. Okay. So if I save this, and if I run it again, it still failed. Why would it fail? Alright, run tests. We'll run all the tests. 2 with a warning on 1. 1 failed. I know I can get more information on this. Let's look at debug console. Okay, so that one was it. So we've done, I want to debug it again. So it's still failing, and I do not know why. So, oh, you know what? I do know why. We did the let's do the set status. So self lock dot set status, and we'll do that as unlocked. Alright, and then what we want to do is self lock get status, and that's what will return unlocked. So we're going to run the tests again, and this time it should succeed. Why did it fail? Oh, I know why. You see all these little details, they'll drive you nuts. So I'm going to do one more try, and then still failed. Why? Self-lock set status. Self-assert equals self-lock. Get status unlocked. It said that everything was okay. Okay, they all passed this time. This is going to be one really messy video, but you can sort of see what the tests are doing here. Okay, so we have to import unit test. We import the classes that we're going to test. We create a testing class, unit test case, so we have to inherit from that. Usually you have a setup, and it's really important with the setup that the U be capitalized so it recognizes it. All the others, notice they all start with test. They need to all start with test in order to be discovered. I'm going to do one more test. Hopefully it'll give me less problem than that. And what I want you to do is just test. Notice how I'm also just testing the different things there. So if I do, let's do one more test. I'm just going to say def test room. I need to look at lock just to be sure. Door. So I am going to go to test, get door, and we'll do a self, and basically we're just going to test that what we entered up above is correct. So I am going to self assert equal self.lock.getDoor, and it returns something, and it will return 3176. Okay, so I am going to save, and then I will run the tests, and now I have 4 tests that have passed. So I'm going to do just one test or two on the scan, and then I'm going to call this good. You get to watch me do a lot of debugging. That's not totally bad because you probably have to do some debugging too. So I'm going to do class, lowercase c, scan test. The class names, by the way, don't matter. It does matter that they inherit unit test, test case. Okay. And I'm going to def setup again with a self, and then I'm going to say self dot scan equals scan, and we need the door location. So the door is going to be 3176. The location is BE. Security level is normal. So BE needs to be quoted. Security level is normal, so everything like before. And then the card number. Let's do these as single quotes just to be consistent. Okay, and the card number I'll do is 315643, whatever. Alright, so that's our setup. I'm just going to do a couple of tests. I'm going to do def test get card, and make sure it's test get, let's do get card self assert, so we need self assert equal, and you can use some of these others too if you want. I'm going to assert equal self dot scan dot get card, and that it will return the number that I have up above, which is now obscured, 315643. Which is not where that goes. Okay, so we will test that. So I'm going to save. You should discover the test. Not sure it did. Alright, well, let's run the tests. We'll run all the tests. One failed. So let's look at the tests. What did it fail at? So let's discover the tests real quickly. Alright, so let's do the configuration again. Command palette, configure tests, and unit test, root directory, and we're going to do test, and then let's try running the tests. It's not finding them. Why? It found them 2 seconds ago. Oh, it's not finding them because this pasted. Now it finds them. It didn't find them because there was an error. So now 5 of them passed, so they all passed. Alright, so quick review. You want to take the 2 classes you did and you want to write a few tests just to show how to test these things. And again, these can be a bit of a pain, as you can see from this rather incoherent video. So you import unit test. You make sure that it's configured to allow the tests, and then you configure where to find the tests. We're saying that it's looking for anything following the string test as a test. The setup has, the class always inherits from unit test case. The setup always has a capital U if you set that up. And basically what we're doing in the setup is we're just setting up an instance of the class. And then what we're doing is we're testing to see if everything comes out the way it's supposed to be. So we said when it turns to string, it should return 3176 locked, and it does. If we get the lock status, it's locked. If we change the status, then the status should say unlocked. Then we say to get the door. Now we could test a few other things there, but I didn't. In the scan test, I've made an instance of the scan in the setup, and then I just test it to get the card number. And you could do all the others too, the gets and the sets, just to test them. But anyway, that's my incoherent video on testing.